Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I have an excellent game to share with you from the early title Tuesday, September 3rd, so just yesterday. On the white end, Sergei Zhigalko, playing against Magnus Carlsen. Okay, time controls 3+1. Don't let that make you think the quality must not be so great. It remains very high, despite this brief time control. On board we have a Pirc Defense, C6, good job taming the knight. It's this queen knight that really turns out to be a struggling piece in this one. We'll see how Carlsen manages to bother it soon enough. White does not want to see a pin, nor does white want to see b5, b4, kicking the knight. Now on this move 7, Carlsen plays a beginner-like move, queen a5. Who does he think he is? Bringing the queen out early like this. A 5-time world chess champion? Okay, before you can break a rule, you should know the rule. Why is he saying it's okay to bring the queen out early? Well, there is a pin, and because there's a pin, there's a threat. Knight takes e4. The deeper point, however, is that the queen from a5 supports an e5 advance, challenging white's strong center. It's defended easily enough here with bishop d3. If white plays in the center with e5, you can take and respond to either recapture with knight d5. It's a fine position for black. In fact, it starts to prefer black. All right, in this one, it is bishop d3, e5 sure enough. Let's get a few more developing moves in here, centralizing the rooks. This guy is no longer needed to babysit e4, relocates. There's not a more active diagonal for it. An attractive diagonal to be sure, now that the rook is on e8, f7, that much more sensitive. A square, a pawn here you might describe as unprotected. One attacker, only one defender. A sensitive point to be sure. Now, this queen knight needs a square. So the tension is released. e5, now vacant. White responds here with bishop takes d4. This allows direct defense of e4, 2 attackers, 2 defenders. White is cool on e4. Do know, if white takes with the knight on d4 here, this guy here on e4 would be poison. Now, I'm going to show you a spectacular line. It's not the only sharp line from here, but yeah, this is definitely going to be a sharp line you're about to see. I do have the PGN in the description. It's a quick copy and paste away into your favorite website, import it, and you could check out this position further. Why is knight takes e4 a blunder? It's not for the following reason. It's not because white can take on e4 and then chop away on f7, the sensitive f7 square, and then land a fork. No, black would have a save here. Knight f6, blocking the check, defending the rook. Why is then knight takes e4 in this position a blunder? Well, it's because of this retreat, bishop d2. Now, let's pause for a moment, see what in the world is going on. There's now a pin on the knight. There's also a threat of a discovered attack, moving the knight, targeting the queen. And this knight is also hanging. So how does this play out? Well, it goes something like this. We're not done yet. After rook takes knight in this position here, black is up a piece. Short-lived, however. Here's the spectacular move. White would have queen takes bishop here. That's a good way to parry the threat on f2. And now there's a mate threat on g7. The point here being, you take the queen, it's a mate in 2. Okay, some sharp stuff there. Rook e5, there's also f4 in this position. One of the more spectacular lines from this middle game position. Poison, e4 pawn. In this game, we follow a much more positional path. It's bishop takes d4, knight e5, and the response here is knight takes knight, sort of straightens out the structure, a bit more balanced. If white plays in a different way, let's say reacts to this threat, pulls the bishop back, here's how black can respond. Bishop e6, and you could easily see the following structure. This one right here, where there's still some imbalance with the central structure. 4th rank white pawn, 3rd rank black pawn, and a ready-made target for the black pieces. This rook, I must say, is fantastic. It's on a stable square, convenient defender of d6, and again, this clear pressure on e4. This is maybe a reason white, on this move 13, initiates the capture on e5. In this way, e4 is not as accessible. Okay, from here it's bishop e6. We have a standoff now between Carlsen's good bishop and white's bad bishop. Why is Carlsen welcome to this particular exchange? Well, this bad bishop, again judging by the central structure, it's a very active bad bishop, so it needs to go. Queen e2. Black is not giving an inch here, not initiating the capture on c4. This would pull the queen to a very nice post. It's queen b4, saying you take me. There's a big difference in this game between the queens. She is a very annoying piece, the black queen, a very annoying piece in this one. Currently targeting b2 and e4. And how do you defend both? Not a fun move to play. Bishop c1 here. It does address both threats. It still remains around an even game here. Okay, there's only one open file. Let's hop to it. a5. Next, looking for rook a4, kicking the queen. This allows Carlsen to now play b5, however. From here, white ends up capturing en passant. If white plays in a different way, this b5 move, Carlsen did give this one a bit of a think, maybe his first think in this game. A reason to weigh this particular move carefully is because white has an idea to maybe respond with a6. And this would do what? This would fix this guy on a dark square, which may be a big target for this guy. It's not long off. In response to a6, this is how black can continue. Bishop f8, bishop c5, and that would be a convenient way to watch over the a7 pawn. Okay, in this one, b5 is met with a takes b6 en passant, a takes b, queen is kicked all the way back. This right here, move 20, is my favorite move. She's forming a battery in two ways. Maybe rook a8 is a move, and also bishop h6. White has the better bishop here, keep in mind. So bishop h6, sensible. From here, rook a7, b5. The stability of the knight is in question. Really nice coordination here with Carlsen's pieces. Everything is defended. Bishop e3, bishop h6. We get a dark square bishop exchange in there. There's no limit on the number of queen b4 moves you can play. She's right back into this aggressive post, reminding white there's a problem on b2. There's a big difference here between the black queen, or the queens, and the knights. The pressure here on e4. White is the defender. In this position, white plays queen to b6, goes on the attack, targets a sensitive point in black's camp. It makes sense to play in this way. I mean, if you go with b3, now the queen has an additional responsibility to watch over the knight. Okay, the plan here goes on the offensive, targeting the rook. They're doubled up. From here, queen to c7. Now, before this move can be played, Carlsen had to calculate, what am I doing if rook a8 is played? So in the game, it was queen c7. What happens if rook a8 is played? Well, the only move black would have here is rook to e8. Being prepared to recapture with the knight. If it's attacked further, rook e6 is a fantastic way to defend. The point here is that if black in this position captures on a8, black's going to be in trouble, because this battery right here is going to be formed. White is getting there first, one of these two squares. Black is in trouble. So in the event of rook to a8 here, this would be best. Rook e8, this is how it would look, something like this. Rook goes down here. This is how black can defend. If more defense is needed over the knight, king f8 can be a move. The rook on e6, fantastic piece. White still has to worry about b2, keep in mind. Not easily defended. Okay, on this move 26, no rook a8. It's queen c7, rook 8 to d7. White responds with queen to c8. If white instead gives a check with the rook, the king can simply step up. And if white plays now queen to c8, white can block here with rook to d8. This is actually an important line I'm putting on here. In a position like this, where there's tension on d8, black can ignore that threat and go in for this capture on b2. How does this play out exactly if white first addresses the possible queen takes rook with check in some cases, with rook to b1 here? We can take on c2. This is a really flashy line here. In this position, black is down a rook, has a couple pawns for it, but there's a star move for black here, and it would be knight takes e4. Soon, we're going to be looking at a knight and 3 pawns versus a rook. Knight takes knight here. There would be queen takes rook check, and then the queen recapturing the knight on e4. Okay, some sharp lines to be sure. In this game, no rook a8. It's queen c8 check, king g7, rook takes rook, and from here, it's the knight recapture. This guy has an eye on an eventual queen f8 check. White continues in the best way, forming a battery. We got this square covered. Queen takes b2. Pop quiz. How would you respond here? Feel free to pause the video. Okay, there's only one move here that keeps this game level. White doesn't spot it, ends up playing knight to e2 here. This is apparently the draw, going in for a check on g8, and then capturing on f7. With this line here, the knight on c3 would end up being poison. It suggests best for black now would be a check, and then queen f4 getting the queens off. What would be the problem if black tracks down the material? Well, there's an issue on h7. There's no good way, there would be no good way to defend it. If the king tries to run in this position, h4 is strong, h7 collapses, and now there's this idea of king h2 with then f3. And there's not going to be a good way out of that. Knight f6 does not defend. There's a mate in 2, nor does rook f6 defend. That would hang the knight. Okay. One other detail, a more elementary continuation. If black tries to babysit h7 with knight f6 here, there would be queen f8 winning the rook. Okay, this best move 30, queen g8, was not played. Knight e2 here, and black finishes up nicely here, taking on c2, landing a check, taking on f2, threatening mate in 1. A square is produced for the king to run. He's not going to run far. There's another mate threat here. How to defend? It's king to h3 here. If white tries to defend in a different way, with let's say queen d8, this queen can be cut off from defending h4 with f6. Okay, in this game, king h3, rook d3. There's no way to defend g3 at this point. A little check is flicked in. King h6. White resigns. An aesthetic final position here. Both kings went for a bit of a run, living on the edge here on corresponding squares. It's the white king, however, that ends up more vulnerable. Both sides' major pieces went all in on an attack. There is now no defending this pinned knight, however. You try to run, it's queen takes knight, rook to d1. Why was black maybe a bit more successful here? Now, in this final position, neither knight is on a dream square, but I believe Carlsen's knight turned out to be much more productive. It helped defend against this major piece pressure, watching over in particular this one key square, f8. Robbing that square allowed the king to find safe ground on h6. Anyhow, what did you think of this one? Feel free, as usual, to leave any feedback to this video in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed it and maybe took a thing or two away. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.